This is check. I am checking for a pulse on the Knicks and New York sports in general, and
Oh
I don't
Lord,
find one.
oh Lord. In that case, I am checking because the games this week was completely bonkers in the NFL.
Oh my
And some,
God! Yeah,
and some of them were really good though. So that's my check off.
here goes. I go. You go. I go. I go. I go. You go. I go.
You go.
I'm gonna go.
You
Come
go.
on,
I
I
go.
go. I go. Welcome to the
You
Arena
go.
Podcast. Welcome everybody. This is the Arena Podcast where you get to hang out with us as I, Gabe, and my co-host Walt. Say what's up.
Yeah, boy.
We discuss, we rant, we talk, we just kind of let off steam as it seems.
We
With
pontificate.
we pontificate over sports in general with a New York flair to it. So, before we continue on with the show, just remind everybody to like, rate, share, and subscribe. That's the easiest and best way to support our podcast as we continue to grow and develop. And here on this podcast, you're going to hear us rant. You're going to hear us talk. You're going to hear us, maybe at some point even rejoice with any kind of good news that comes out of sports in our favor as fans. But generally, we just kind of want you guys to be flies in the wall in our conversation. So,
Yeah, man.
with that being said, this is a very interesting, I guess, weekend. It's the end of the season for many teams, especially our two football teams in the New York area. And it's also sort of an unspoken, the holiday sort of Black Monday, as we see a bunch of firings across the league, and some stuff happening in other places too, in NBA and so on and so forth. So, um, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and start. I really just want to rant. I need to get some stuff off my chest.
Okay.
I do not understand why the Giants still have Joe Judge as their head coach. I just do not get it after and it's such an abysmal season. And it's not just that we had a bad season, it's the way that we had it. We had such an embarrassing season. We had such an embarrassing final game. And it's what is this? Pee wee football? Is this, I mean, it's ridiculous, and I don't
Listen.
understand. I don't
Yeah.
understand why there's so much fanfare, I guess, for Joe Judge. And I don't know how you're going to get a new GM with the stipulation that we have to keep Joe Judge. I don't think that that's on the table anymore. I do feel like it sounds like Joe Judge's job is not as safe as some might have thought. But I am completely off the Joe Judge train. I want him gone. I'm out of here. I don't see how we can get any better with him, at the helm. It is such an embarrassing feeling to feel like a Jet. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. But
Listen, I can't fight you on that because
we are the
same
guys
old
that are
Jets,
supposed to
right?
be. We are the guys that are supposed to be like kind of, like at least we're not the Jets, but that's not the case.
But
That's
see,
it's what?
now you want to be the Jets, though.
No, I still don't want to be the Jets, but
we're on the way up, son.
oh my God,
we
what's
got
crazy?
we got off autopilot and we're going up altitude. We're going to be peaking at 15,000 feet pretty soon. Just give us a couple of years.
Yeah, right before you crash and burn. Anyway,
no.
This is my rant. Let me rant.
Yeah.
It's
go for it.
It's listen. I'm not trying to really. Yeah, I'll stomp the mud on the Jets a little bit here and there. Of course, it's my job as a loyal Giants fan, but this is yeah, it's always that's the saying, right? That might as well be the Jets model, same old Jets. Well, now it seems like we're getting the same thing with the Giants. It's like nothing's gonna change. We'll just let's keep Joe Judge. Let's let's get Keith Abrams in and hire within. It's like nothing is changing, and it's crazy to me, especially because of this. There's I don't know if you guys are following, but there's apparently a 10-year challenge on Instagram going on. Do you know what the Giants' 10-year challenge was?
No, what I this is the first I've heard of it. I'm
Well,
intrigued.
the
What
ten
exactly
the
is
ten
this?
year the 10-year challenge is you take a side by side photo of you 10 years ago and you now, and generally it's supposed to be kind of a positive, showing like like I've shown growth. I
Oh,
maybe
okay,
have
okay.
a more fuller beard. I'm a little bit better looking now 10 years later,
A little bit grayer.
or maybe you weren't. But the Giants 10-year challenge, okay, 10 years ago, 2012. Eli Manning holding up a Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi.
Wow.
And now
Wow.
everyone just calling for us to blow up everything in management. It's insane.
Well, these things are cyclical, so you have your ups and downs, but I think the issue you have, right, is that you're seeing ineptitude as opposed to just the normal guys get good, guys get old, then you got to restart again and
Right,
stuff like that.
exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's where
That's
your issue
cyclical.
is.
That's cyclical. We're
Yeah,
not going through no
exactly.
cyclical crap. We're like
No,
literally
no,
like
no.
we're drowning in the crap right now. And I don't
Hmm.
understand why there's no it doesn't seem to have any sense of urgency in Giants front office to actually show the fans that they care about what they think. We're not gonna fire Gettleman. We're gonna let him retire. We're not gonna fire Joe Judge. We're gonna
Yeah, I
let the
mean,
next GM decide. And that's
you.
a
Let
load
me
of
let
crock.
me ask
You know
you a
what I mean?
question. Do you honestly believe that he retired, or do you think that's
No, no, no,
more
no.
of
Obviously, he
we're
didn't
we're
retire.
going
He was
to
forced out. Maybe he
thank
wasn't
you?
forced out. Maybe he was tired of dealing with all the media and people calling for him to, maybe he went and did his long walk and retired on his own. But he was forced out, whether it was by the fans or by front office. I doubt that it's a front office.
Yeah,
I
they
can
they gave
guarantee you
him the
it's we.
easy out.
They give him the
Okay.
easy out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they don't give it to Joe Judge. And we're going to get into Joe Judge and his ridiculous antics to keep his job later. But the other part of my rant is Julius Randle and the Knicks. I kind of ragged on Randle the last episode, and rightfully so. He's done he's done wrong by the fans, but he's also apologized for his comments previously about the thumbs down moment and kind of telling the fans more or
Yeah,
less to shut the f up. I don't.
I don't buy it.
No,
I
I
really
take his
don't.
apology. I do take his apology, but that doesn't change the fact that he's playing terribly. I agree with him
No.
that sometimes you get into spats with the people that you love, with friends and family, and you just tell them to go f off, and you just kind of like over their crap or the argument or whatever have you. I don't necessarily think that it gives them license to do so. Being paid $30 million a year, but it
Exactly.
absolutely does not give you license to do so when you play as terribly as he has this season. And it sucks because it's not that he's a bad player, but he's just not able to turn it on. And case in point, tonight's game. What is it? 32 minutes? 34 minutes? 34 minutes
34,
and 2 points.
minutes. Yeah, he went 34 minutes, shot 1 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 3 from 3-point land. He did have 12 rebounds,
I
couple
understand that, you know
assists.
what I mean? But the,
But
the
like I said, when you told me that he only had 2 minutes, the first thing that I thought of
two
was the
points,
dude was in foul. Yeah, 2 points. The first thing I thought of was that he was in foul trouble. But he only had
not the
three
case.
personal fouls. Yeah, that's
Not the
not the
case.
case.
And that's
So
my issue. My issue is that if it sucks because he is absolutely not the star. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a role on the Knicks, but he is not going to be our star. Not with the lack of consistency, not with the lack of confidence in himself, and also not the lack of confidence from the team. You know,
Hmm.
The fact that he only has 3 assists with 34 minutes and only 2 point score means that he's not shooting the ball, he's not getting the ball, he's not really facilitating, he's not doing anything to make the team better. Even though they won tonight, 111-96 to the terrible, you know, bench depleted Spurs. So
Right.
I don't know what's got to happen with Randall and the Knicks. I don't know what's going to happen. I think that that's a much tougher equation than the Giants. I think solving the Knicks issue is more like calculus, whereas the Giants is more like, 2 plus 2 equals Joe Judge gone.
Well,
So,
I think the problem with the Knicks is that they
and
they
that's my
went
rant,
away
by the way.
from what was, yeah, and that's pretty good. You hit pretty much all facets of New York. you know
God.
the thing with the Knicks is, they went away from what made them successful last year, which was defense, and they bet on bringing in guys like Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and stuff like that, who they believed would provide them that needed offensive punch, but it was at the expense of their defense. And so now those guys don't score, and you can't stop anybody. And the other part is that you have Julius Randle here, and Julius Randle to me is one of those guys that on a bad team he's a 25, 27 point scorer, but when he has to be the focal point of a good team, that and
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
think
saying. I don't, he's a
yeah
choke
I
artist,
think
unfortunately.
yeah, I think last year was an anomaly for him, because nobody expected the Knicks to do what they did. But now that there's expectation on them this year, which they're not, listen, at this point, I don't even think they make the playoffs, to be honest. You
I
know?
don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't think the playoff picture is completely gone for them. It's they're still hovering right at the 500 team. I think that they're still in. I think they finish eight. In the Eastern Conference. I do see them with a playoff berth, especially when D Rose comes back. I think that we have some unique issues this year with COVID and everything. I know last year we obviously had COVID, but it was not as chaotic as it is this year with players, testing positive left, right, and center, having to like sign 10-day deals just because there aren't even enough players to play the game, things like that. I think it is a little bit
Yeah.
crazier now aside from the injuries than last year. I think obviously COVID was a little bit more serious in the effects of the illness in the last season, whereas this one it's more about the spread. But that being said, everyone is dealing with it in the season. Everyone's dealing with it in the league, whether it's
Right.
football, basketball, hockey. Everyone's dealing with it. We're just not adapting the right way, and I think that the biggest issue that we have is actually not having D Rose. D Rose being out for the amount of time that he has been out has obviously shown an effect because the biggest thing that I think that D Rose brought is not just his ability to make plays, but
Hmm.
it's the leadership in the locker room and the hustle on the floor. And
That
we
is
just
true.
we don't have that hustle on the floor. Like one of the reasons we're lacking in defense is because we don't have a hustler. And when one person is hustling, everyone else wants to hustle too. I can't wait for D Rose to come back because maybe that ends up kind of evening the scales. And if Randall could turn up a little bit, we can get to the playoffs. I don't know what'll happen then, but yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
I think you need to move away from Randall being the first option. I think Barrett, especially this year, he's kind of blossomed a little bit more,
Yeah,
and
he
maybe
is. He
you
is
make him.
absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta start making him the focal point of the offense, and let Randall get like let him mop up. He's a power forward. He's not going to be the guy that's going to be able to take the ball and take charge of it.
I mean,
That's
look,
not
I'm
his
not.
style. He needs somebody to give him the ball in order to do stuff, and
I mean,
that's
look,
that's kind of the problem.
I look at it. I look at him as almost like in the situation. I don't want to compare him to Braun, but kind of like the situation where Braun is sort of like the second center of the team. Like
Hmm.
Randall playing kind of like a secondary center to the team, like the way that he played tonight. Sure, give us all the rebounds. Be a facilitator. Get the ball to the people that can
Yeah.
score. R.J. Barrett, Evan Fournier. Burks, Rose when he comes back and stuff like that. Like if we can
he's
make
gotta
it,
clean the
if
glass. He's gotta
yeah, I
clean the
mean,
glass.
if we can
That's
make
his thing.
if that can be Randall's, game for the rest of the year, focus on your shooting in the off season. Maybe it'll get fixed, maybe it won't. But I think that for the rest of the season, it should be R.J. Barrett, Randall as the secondary, as a facilitator, and we'd love to see Allen Burks and D Rose come through when D Rose is healthy again to play. So, anyway, that's enough about my rant. I want to know what you're ranting about. I want to know what's going on in your head after this weekend. Um, you know,
Well, my rant is work related, but I'm not going to get into that. Um, I guess if I'm going to rant on it, I would rant on Antonio Brown, but you know what?
oh, we're gonna get into Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
We're
but you
gonna
know
get
what?
into Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
That Antonio Brown situation kind of crazy.
yeah, it really, really is. But you know what? I'm kind of over him already. You know what I'm saying? It's just it doesn't work for me. So, if anything, I guess the thing I got to look at is both it's all NFL related, and it's not the Jets because I look
It's
at
not
what
the
happened.
Jets.
No, it's not the Jets because I look at what happened with the Colts down in when they were playing Jacksonville, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous to me that they would lose that game. And not only lose that game, but the way that they lost that game, because they got blown out by the worst team in the league. Those guys walked in with 2 wins and were in such disarray. And if I remember right, there was a point that they were down by like 12, 13 points, 14 points to that team, knowing that they had to
Yeah, I don't
win.
know.
Knowing
Yeah.
that they had to win, that's a tough one. And I guess the other thing I have to look at is probably the Charger game, the Charger
Oh my God,
Raider game,
dude.
which was it was a good, entertaining game. But you know what? If I'm a Charger fan, am I pissed at that coach right now?
I
Because
absolutely would be. I obviously
be,
would be.
listen, I had my issues with 4th and 2 with the Jets last week. I'm gonna have issues with 4th and 2 with the Chargers this week, because you're going to go 4th and 2 on your own 18-yard line in the third quarter.
I mean,
Tell me,
look, I didn't get to see the game. I didn't get to see the game, but
I saw the game. I was just going nuts
I gotta
because
ask you. Well,
yeah,
we can go into this a little bit later if you want, but I gotta ask you. Do you think that there was
tell me.
collusion? Do you think that there was collusion to draw the game? Because of all the scenarios, first of all,
I don't think so. Well, I
here,
think
here,
it
here.
was
Well,
on
here's the
one
thing.
way.
Here's the thing. For the chances of draws in games happening are extremely low as it is.
Right.
Okay. Um, the chances of there being a potential draw to a game so that both teams can go into the playoffs is also even lower. Now, the
Well, I'm
chances for
gonna
that to all happen with the whole Pittsburgh Steelers situation,
yeah.
like it's crazy that it was even a thing. Like, you know what I mean? The Steelers clinched their playoff berth pending a missed draw in this game, which would happen later in the day, and then all of a sudden, fourth quarter comes and it's tied, and they're going into overtime.
Well,
It's
you
like,
got to look.
are you serious?
You got to look at it this way, because and this is what made the game really great, because they did go for it on 4th and 2 on their own 18-yard line, which I have no words for that. Are you playing Pop Warner?
Unless you're trying to
No,
let them score, unless
no,
there was
but
collusion.
no. But you gotta remember, Justin Herbert had to bring them back. They were losing by 14 with less than 5 minutes left. You know what I'm saying? No, was it 15? I think it was 15 with
That's what I'm
less than 5
saying.
minutes left. And
That's what I'm
they came
saying.
back with like 0 time left on the clock, which I'm telling you, those 2 drives by that guy were amazing. But you know what? Here's the thing. You get into overtime, they kick a field goal, they come back and kick another field goal. So you're tied the whole entire way. This is where I think your collusion thing comes into play, right? Because the Raiders were driving and they were about midfield. And this is maybe just my personal bias because I'm looking at the game and I'm looking at the way the play call is happening and kind of like the demeanor of the coach on the sideline. And it looked like he wasn't forcing the issue. And I think everything changed when Brandon Staley decided to take that timeout.
Yeah.
Because
that's going to be one of those timeouts that live in infamy.
Oh, absolutely. Because, and I can kind of get his understanding of why he did it, because after the game, he said, well, you know what? The reason why I did it is because, you know, I wanted to get my defense settled. They were running the ball. I wanted to make sure that, you know, we can stop the run. So I was putting in my best run package and stuff like that. But if you listen to the Raiders coach afterwards, you know, he was kind of like, well, you know, yeah, I was kind of hoping he wasn't going to call a timeout. You know, it was in a weird place. And he even said it. The tie was a scenario in his head. He even said it.
My God!
But you got to listen.
I feel like there was collusion on one side, and then the Raiders were like, you know what?
Nah, exactly.
Yeah. The Raiders pulled the Raider. The Raiders did that.
Once they hit that timeout, all of a sudden they were rejuvenated.
They were just like, okay, you know what?
Play that game, right?
You know what? Let's it's there. It's there. The slice of pie is right there. Why not just take it? You know?
I mean, it kind of made sense from the position that they were in. But once they got that first down, because they were pretty far, so, you know, the likelihood that if they attempted a field goal where they were, you could get a block punt. You could, a lot of crazy things could happen at that part of the field.
Yeah.
But once they got the first down, they were like, nah, we're going.
Yeah, they were like, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think that there was a potential collusion.
Oh, absolutely. I think the Raider coach was ready to go.
I just think that like they just decided like, you know what, I'm gonna renege, but I'm not gonna let them know I'm reneging. You know, it's just the Chargers was so caught off guard. You know, Staley was so caught off guard. It was like they were left holding the bag basically, and you know, it sucks, but it's just because the thing is like the scenario is so unlikely. And then now I feel like it's even more unlikely that I think it's even more likely because of how the game was played. You know?
And listen, 2 seconds left on the clock when they kicked that field goal. And don't you think that I thought that he was going to miss that field goal?
Oh,
you know
my goodness.
I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, dude, you know, those Pittsburgh fans, I half of them probably had heart attacks. You know?
Oh my God, I can only imagine. You have to admit, this is one of the craziest NFL seasons of all time. I feel like, you know, between the you know, the tie drama, between the drama with, you know, Roethlisberger and the Steelers and Antonio Brown, like everything going on this season, you know, the Giants, Jets, the whole nine, just the entire picture. It's just been a hell of a season so far, and one that I think really we're gonna like soon forget.
Yeah. So this season is probably the craziest. Not also in terms of when you think that a team is about to take off, and then all of a sudden they crash and burn, and they're brought back. You know, and they're humbled very quickly.
Yeah,
because we saw that with Tampa, we saw that with KC, we saw that with Miami, which interestingly, they fired their coach today, which is very, very surprising. You know what I'm saying?
I know. And you know what? Like, that's the guy I think. I mean, obviously, I'll take anybody over Joe Judge, but I want him in New York.
Yeah, I
would 100% take him in New York. I can't believe he got fired, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it was more or less an X's and O thing. I think he had more of an abrasive issue with the GM. And you know, I listen, not for nothing, but if I have to pick between a GM and a coach, especially a coach of that caliber, and the GM really he hasn't done much, I'm picking the coach, man. I'm telling the other guy to get out.
Yeah,
because
but not ownership. You
no,
want to know why?
I
You
know,
want to know
I
why?
know.
You want to know why? You want to know why? Because it's just like the New York Giants situation. It's much harder for you to hire a new GM if you have a coach that's already in place.
Yeah, I know. Which
What's a
again,
GM supposed to do? What is the GM supposed to do as a GM? His job is to find a coach. The coach's job is to find the players and then tell the GM, "Hey, I want this player on my team." So
except if
what's the
you're a Jet.
except if you're a Jet or a Giant, apparently. So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
and so yeah, I mean, speaking of coach and GM situations, let's circle back to the whole Giants situation because this is what's really interesting. Obviously, Gettleman retired, quote unquote, retired
Well,
today,
right.
and we had like the Black Monday firings across the board for a lot of head coaches out there in the NFL. Um, but something really interesting came out that apparently it's being reported by some, but apparently Joe Judge, after he had an initial meeting this morning, after they had their team meeting and they had their meeting with Gettleman and some of the players and so on and so forth, Joe Judge had a second meeting this afternoon with John Mara, and that meeting was to one persuade and suggest uh, getting Abrams in as the new GM, which
Okay.
of course he's going to go in. He wants Abrams in there because he works with Abrams and he's pretty sure going to, you know, make sure that Joe Judge stays. But this is the even crazier thing is that apparently he told John Mara that he wants a say in who the next GM is. When have you ever heard of a coach
Well,
want or have a say?
I've
I mean,
heard of
this sounds
coaches do that,
ridiculous.
but those are the coaches that you want on your team. The guys like the Mike McCarthy's,
Sure,
the guys like the Bill
yeah,
Belichick's,
well, Belichick,
the
Rex Ryan, maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
those, but not a
That's
Joe
different. See,
Judge.
that's different because those guys are the real GMs.
Yeah, that's
Right?
what I'm saying.
Those are
Not
the
a
real,
Joe Judge. A
especially
Jo-
after this kind of season. Are you kidding me? It's like, yo, you know what? Hey, John Mara, how do you think that conversation went? The way that I
listen,
picture is that he went into the office. Hey, Joe. Hey, John. How you doing today? I know that I had a really crappy season and I some terrible final games to close out the season. And I know you just let go of my boss because of how bad we've done. But just let me know who you're gonna hire and let me okay that. I just want to make sure that they're not gonna let me go. That's basically what happened. He wants to make sure that whoever the GM that's coming in
does it
is gonna be
surprise
on
you
his
though?
side.
Does it surprise you?
It actually does because
Really?
you gotta have some balls. You gotta have
Have
some
you
balls,
heard
man.
his press conferences though? I mean, it
Yeah,
falls
I
in
guess.
line in the type of guy that he is when he's on. He's got the arrogance to tell you, "Oh, guys, what you're seeing on the field is not really what's happening.
Oh
I
my
know what's
god, dude.
going on. You guys don't." I mean,
That's so ridiculous. It's so arrogant. I don't give a crap what you see in the practice field, in the closed stadiums and arenas and whatever the hell you apparently see. Doesn't matter what you see if we don't see it on the field.
I
Okay?
guess
I could
apparently
care less about how
he's.
good, how fast they're running at 40 yards, how precise their throws are. I just don't care because it's not translating.
I
Every
think
single week they're looking
he's
worse and
okay.
worse.
Yeah, I think he's okay with winning championships on the practice field. I
Jesus
really do
Christ, man.
because like I said, the arrogance, and listen, when you have these press conferences, they're not only for the players to know that the coach has your back. Which I look at Vic Fangio of Denver after he threw his quarterbacks under the bus, right? But it's also for the fans to have them, have that connection where it's like, okay, I'm listening to my coach and I hear that my coach is looking to do things better. Not for him to kind of like trivialize my thoughts and say, well, you know what? You may think that we're doing bad, but in my eyes, we're doing awesome. You just don't see it. I mean, listen, if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. I
It
mean,
must lay an egg.
exactly, and they've done it plenty of times. Let me ask you a question. This is probably the best thing about Joe, and it kind of encapsulates Joe Judge as a coach. 3rd and 9 from the 3-yard line, and they go for a quarterback sneak. What?
Oh my God! If anything, I mean, this is I don't necessarily. I was listening to Tiki Barber on the Fan, and he was saying that it's not necessarily. It's not that it did it like the play sort of did its job. It did its job of
Gave
protecting
him a little extra yards for the punter.
Yeah, extra yards and protected the football and what have you. But if that's the case, just take a knee and then punt, or just punt it. Just punt it there.
No, run the ball.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, one, either Joe Judge doesn't know what he's doing, or he just has such a lack of confidence in the team that he would rather do a quarterback sneak than than run a screenplay. A screen pass would have been perfect in that situation. It's ridiculous to me.
The screen pass is a scary proposition when you're that close down on the field.
I guess, and I understand.
I would go sweep or off tackle there. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is where I was getting, and you kind of hit the point that I was going to make. As a player, and you see that your coach draws up a draw 3rd and 9 deep in your own territory. How do you approach that? Because you know what I'm saying? It's clear that you're giving up because you have no confidence that if you run the ball, they're going to get a first down.
But see, this is exactly my issue. This is my issue. Okay, mm-hmm. If you have no confidence in this team now, a team that's not really going to change by much unless we blow it up next year, then what's going to change? It's going to be the same guys in that room. It's going to be the same guys in that field. Maybe with Daniel Jones there, but he doesn't really have confidence in Daniel Jones either, to be honest with you. And we don't have the confidence in Daniel Jones either as a city. So nothing's going to change. What, he's just going to wake up one day over the summer and be like, you know what? I trust the guys now. I trust them,
Yeah.
I'll run the quarterback sneak from 3 and 5 this time.
Well, you know what? At least he's got people calling him saying how much they want to come to his
I don't believe that even for a second, because there's people in the locker room right now. There's people in the locker room right now hitting up Jay Glazer and saying, "Yo, we got a squad that want him out."
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy because apparently there's like another 10 players that came out today in support of Joe Judge. So I just don't see what they see. I really don't understand it.
But dude, honestly, if you're playing for the guy, what else are you going to say? You're not going to criticize him,
and you can say nothing.
That's true.
Going to bat for the guy is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because
you got to look at the situation, because maybe they're coming out of the locker room and somebody says, "Hey, what do you think about Joe?"
Well, they went straight to the podium.
Bad.
No, they went straight to the podium after and gave their thoughts on Joe Judge, But still, regardless, it points to a bigger situation to me, that you have one squad that defends and goes to bat for Joe Judge, and then you have a whole other squad that's hitting up Jay Glazer and Tiki Barber and all these other former Giants, and hitting them up and telling them like, "Yo, we want this guy out. We can't stand this guy." That's what they're saying. No names have been said, but quote unquote, we can't stand the guy. That's crazy to me.
They should have blown it up the way that Minnesota did, because Minnesota went and chopped both the GM of 16 years and their coach. Clean.
Well, that's how you should do it. You know what I mean? If you want to get rid of the coach, I think that like if you're gonna, it's a 2-man deal. Whoever, if you want to get rid of the coach, you should get rid of the guy that hired him too.
Yep, that's the way it goes. It's a bad situation for the Giants, and you know what? Quite honestly, I don't think it's going to get any better going forward. I think you're in for this for the long haul. Unfortunately.
Right. Well, this obviously all sets up the NFL playoffs that start this weekend. What are your thoughts on some of the matchups and teams going in there? Who are you pulling for, and who do you believe is going to win? Let's make our call right now.
Well, let's take a look at the matchups here because we've got a bunch of games coming up now. Wildcard Weekend has the Raiders versus the Bengals, the Patriots versus the Bills, the Eagles, Bucks, San Francisco, Dallas, Pittsburgh versus KC, and probably the most boring one of them all, in my opinion, is going to be Cardinals Rams. I have no interest in watching that game at all. I just, to me, that doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere. The games that I'm interested in watching really is San Francisco Dallas and the Raiders Bengals. Those are the two games that really pique my interest this week. And I think, honestly, Buffalo, as much respect as I have for Bill Belichick,
Yeah.
I think Buffalo takes the game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-score game for them.
Okay. I don't know. God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually think that the Patriots are going to pull it because I think this is going to be a game where the coaching is going to win the game more than anything. I feel like
they're going to have to run the ball the way they did the last time. Where
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean they're already in their heads, and I think that Bill Belichick, he's been there enough to know how to squeak it out. Like squeak it out.
Yeah, but you know what? It's tough. They're going up against the number one defense in the NFL, and they're fresh off this last win that they had. They clinched for the first time since I think the 90s in their own house. So they have a bit of momentum here, and I hate to say it, but Mac Jones, it feels like he's hit the rookie wall, and he's regressed really hard the last couple of weeks. I
mean, that's why they've changed their game to a heavy running game now. So.
Yeah, but you know what? You still gotta be able to pass in this league, especially in the playoffs. So
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, so I really think that has the potential to be one of these games where it may be close toward the end, but I see the Bills pulling away.
Let me ask you about Mahomes and Roethlisberger.
I think Roethlisberger's.
You think this is his last game?
Yeah, I think it ends in KC. I really do. I think it would be awesome to see him progress further, but I really think KC is going to the Super Bowl.
That's what a lot of people calling for that. A lot of people saying that's what it's going to be.
I don't necessarily trust, as much as I said the Bills are probably going to beat the Patriots, but I don't think that if they have to walk into Arrowhead, I still think the KC comes out on top.
So you think it's going to be another Mahomes Brady shootout without AB?
Well, they're missing a lot of pieces. That's why I'm having a hard time. I have a hard time saying going against Brady, but I don't think they make it this year.
So Mahomes is definitely in, but pretty much like it's up for grabs. I wouldn't say up for grabs. I would say that the Bills have a good chance of being in the bowl, but
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised the Bengals make it to the championship round.
Really?
The AFC Championship. I don't know if they get past, but they're playing well. Joe Burrow, and they have weapons. They have.
I like Joe Burrow. Burrow.
He's really good, and he's got some receivers.
He's like really, it seems like he's really kind of like grown into that role and stuff, and matured. He seems like a much more mature quarterback than you would have you think. Given his time in the league. So
smoking those cigars, man.
Yeah,
that team is my dark horse, but I think the Raider Bengal game is going to be a lot of fun. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm picking the Bengals on that one too. I do think it's going to be Brady and Mahomes.
Really?
I do think so. But here's the other thing too. I'm actually very interested in the Eagles and Bucks game because I don't think that it's going to be easy for Brady to take that one home.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. The Eagles have been actually playing pretty well towards the second half of the season, and I think that Brady not having the tools that he normally does, and the Eagles' pressure, because Brady's biggest issue is dealing with pressure. Eagles know
Right.
how to put pressure, and that's how we've won. That's how the Giants have beaten him, in 2 Super Bowls, is by putting pressure. He just does not like it. He doesn't know how to deal. So I think the Eagles can put the pressure on Brady. So I even though I think I do believe it's going to be Mahomes and Brady in the Super Bowl. If they can get past the Eagles, I think that Brady goes to the Super Bowl.
I don't think that game's going to be close, to be honest.
Really?
That
Okay.
yeah, I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Gronk, and I think that nullifies any pressure that comes around, because you know what, Gronk is his little safety valve. I wouldn't be surprised Gronk getting 10 catches this coming week,
Oh no, I wouldn't be
and
surprised at
you
that at
know
all. I just
that,
think that the pressure that he's going to make is going to make Brady make some mistakes.
okay,
You
well,
know,
we'll see. The
That
other
being
game that
said, that hold on. That being said, though,
yeah,
and it sucks, man. Like, I can't believe this is the hardest part. When we don't have any New York teams in there, I have no choice but to give credit where credit's due. Uh, Brady just had his best passing season of all time
I'm
at forty
telling
four
you,
years old.
I'm
That's
telling you.
insane. That is
And
insane.
that's why I think it's not going to be close in Philly. Um, against Philly,
How
they're
many of
going to
those
be.
passes went to AB?
Yeah, but you know what? He finds a way. He finds a way to get other people involved. And like I said, heavy dose of Gronk. That's a recipe that he cooked to a number of Super Bowls when he was with New England. Yes, they're a little bit older, but they are still very very good. So that's that. I really do think that Brady takes it easily this weekend.
Okay.
The other game that I'm interested in is San Francisco Dallas. That is going to be a hell of a game. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas loses, to be quite honest. San Francisco is
Okay.
7-2 in its last 9 games, and they've really been leaning heavily on the run, which is something that lately Dallas has struggled with. So, you're going to have, a strength against a weakness, and usually strengths, kind of, you know, um, win out in these type of situations. So I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco wins the game outright.
Okay.
But Dallas is a very talented team, and Dallas is kind of one of those teams that is a head scratcher, because you would think that they would be doing way much better with the amount of talent that's on that team. And it just, for whatever reason, they kind of meander in these type of games. So,
Mm.
but those are the 2 games this weekend that I'm really looking forward to.
If I have time to watch a game, I think it's probably gonna. I'm gonna try to make the Bucks and Eagles game. Although I really
Mhm.
like to see the Bengals and Raiders game also. Um, so which is Saturday. So um, football weekend's coming on us. I guess playoff weekend
Saturday,
starting this weekend. Yeah. So
Saturday,
just to run
Sunday,
down
and
the
Monday.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we have the Raiders and the Bengals on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. This is all Eastern time. So we
Hmm.
got Patriots and Bills on Saturday at 8:15 p.m. We have the Bucks and Eagles on Sunday at 1 p.m. 49ers and Cowboys, which that one really is that one's kind of built to be a classic, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
and they have
on
history.
Sunday at 4:30. Yeah, they got history. Sunday at 4:30, and then Steelers and Chiefs at 8:15 on Sunday as well. And then Monday we got Monday Night Football with the Rams. Damn, they made the Rams and Cardinals Monday Night Football.
I don't get that. You know what I'm saying?
That
If
yeah, I don't get that
anything,
at all.
I would have flipped it, and I would have made the KC Steeler game the Monday night game,
Yeah,
especially with the storyline there,
I
right?
mean either that or the Raiders and Bengals.
Yeah, one of those two. I don't understand.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is, but the Steelers, the KC and Steelers got Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is a big one.
that's
So
true.
yeah,
That's true.
you know. So especially,
Yeah,
I feel like during the playoff season, Sunday Night Football is bigger than Monday Night Football.
I look at that Cardinal Rams game. I don't know how to call that one, man. because
I think it's just
those guys,
a flip of a coin.
yeah, they're
I'm
so
gonna.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
I don't know how to call that one. I guess I would, if I had to choose, I probably lean toward the Rams,
Yeah, me
just
too. Just
because of
because of the
their
colors.
defense, because of the what,
The colors.
the colors.
Yeah.
Okay,
Whenever I don't know who to pick, I just go off like the colors I like better.
that reminds me of a commercial. Have you ever seen the commercial with Ben Affleck and Shaq?
What? No.
You've never seen that commercial?
With Ben Affleck and Shaq? No.
Yeah, Ben Affleck apparently is hawking these sports betting sites. So he's walking
Is
into
that
a
new?
casino. Yeah, it was
Really?
literally within the last couple of months I've been watching it. It shows a lot on SNY, and I'm usually on there because I'm watching, the Jets post game afterwards and stuff like that. But yeah, he's coming down, and there's another guy there. I forget who he is, but apparently he's like some famous rapper or singer nowadays. I don't follow rap like that anymore. Um, and they're in the casino, and he's like, "Who you betting? You betting New York?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm betting Boston." And then he was like, "Well, I'm not." And Shaq goes, "I'm not betting Boston." He was like, I got a guy." He was like, "You got a guy?" He was like, "Yeah, him." He was like, "Oh, pay out, pay out, pay out." And the guy says, "Well, you got to tell me your system." I go with the colors. I go with the colors.
I mean, I see it. I'm watching the trailer. I'm watching the commercial right now. So it's actually kind of funny. I'm a huge Ben Affleck fan. Actually, I really like Ben Affleck. So anything he
Yeah.
does, I enjoy, whether it's commercials or not. So
He really leans
um,
into his Bostonianism in
yeah,
these
yeah,
commercials.
yeah. That's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, man. Yeah, but I think if I'm gonna pick between Arizona and LA, I'm probably gonna go LA just because they have, in my opinion, maybe a little bit. They have the most dominant, well, one of the most dominant defensive players
Hmm.
out there, and they have a
Right.
pretty good offensive team. It's just that they're very inconsistent. But you can say the same about Arizona too. So who knows? You know.
I have to kind of circle back a little bit, okay? Because
Talk about
there's
the
no
Jets.
way. Yes. How on earth are we going to be at the end of the season and you're not going to give me your thoughts on the Jets season this year? I mean, I know that you say that like, onwards and upwards, you're climbing up and, I guess like what did you say, cruising altitude and hanging out there and stuff. I need to kind of get your thoughts on the Jets, man.
We're climbing to 15,000 feet. Please put your seatbelts off and your trays in the upright position or whatever. Um, I
Give
mean,
me your final report. If this was school and this is like the final report card, I need to know what's your grade on the coaching, what's your grade on offense, what's your grade on defense, and what's the general outlook for the Jets next year. Give me
you know,
your
it,
prediction on the Jets season record next year.
it's really hard. If we're just gonna talk about the last game, right, which is the Bills, it's really hard to grade them on that because first of all, you're walking into Buffalo, and Buffalo has traditionally been a very difficult place to play, and it was super cold that day, and you could see it because these guys were slipping and sliding all over the place, especially the Jets players. They came out of that game. I'm it was 13-10 going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
Okay, those guys were, but it's kind of weird to look at it afterwards because they did fall to Buffalo 27-10, right?
Hmm.
But if you look at the stats, the Jets as a whole totaled, I think, 48 yards for the game. They
It
had
sounded like the
5 yards.
Giants. Oh my
They had
God! Did I just
five.
say that?
Yeah, I know.
Did I
They
just say
had
that?
5 yards passing. Now, you know what? A lot of it is not the fault of Zach here because, he did get sacked 9 times. Okay. And, a lot of those, I hate to say it, were coverage sacks. Okay. Um, they are decimated in terms of injuries. They lost 2 linemen that game. They lost they were already walking into that game with injuries along the wide receiver front. They lost 2 more. They literally had three wide receivers going at the end of that game. One of them caught his first catch of his career ever in that game. It is hard to win or even to play competitively with the number one team in the AFC, or would have been, right?
Right.
And the fact that they were 13-10 going into the fourth quarter is a big credit to the team. Okay.
Right. And I agree with that. I think that the Jets actually ended up kind of tapering off kind of nicely, if you all things considered. So kudos to you guys in the gangrene section of the of the fandom.
They may have only won 4 games, but some of those wins were impressive. They did beat the Titans. They did beat the Bengals. They had Buffalo. They were playing competitive with them going into the fourth quarter, and they did have the Super Bowl champs on the ropes. So there is some positivity in this game. Now, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna do this as a coach here, right? I am glad that the Jets played Buffalo last game of the season. I am glad that the Bills clinched the division in that game. Because as a coach, I'm going to go to those young guys and I'm going to be like, you know what? This is what you're striving for. This right here, you see what's going on the other side of that field. That's why you're working so hard.
You think Salah's that coach? You think Salah's that coach? You think that he does that? You think that he goes into the locker room? You think that he goes to the locker room and says like, "Hey, that's who we got to be"?
Probably not. But I think the message was there that, you know what, if we continue, we have to, because he did say it afterwards. Our goal is to be where Buffalo is. We're our goal is to move and strive to where the Buffalo, where New England, even where Miami is, right? Mm-hmm. So he's already told that to his players.
Right.
This was a learning season for all those rookies, and I think it was a great learning experience, because you know what? You got through the trials and tribulations of a season. You see the hard work that you have to do. But I think more than anything, this game exposed the fact that Joe Douglas has to do a better job in getting depth, because the problem that plagued the Jets all season is that we had injuries and we were not good enough to overcome those injuries because of our depth. We had no depth along any of the positions. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed in the offseason.
What's your pick situation?
We've got 2 in the top 10, 4 in the top 40, and I think 9 overall. So we're in pretty good shape in terms of that. On top of that, we have the 4th most salary cap room in the league. You know what I'm saying? So we're pretty good on that front. So I think listen, you're going to get 2 studs in the top 10. I think that goes without saying.
I cannot believe that Jacksonville got the number 1 pick again. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe that.
Cleveland did it for how many years, right? And they amassed enough talent to be competitive. They're not there right now, but getting all those first round picks, they got Myles Garrett, they got the running back Chubb, they got Mayfield and stuff like that. So you accumulate.
Considering everything, do you think that you guys have a winning record next season?
No, I think we'd hover around 500. I think that's
okay.
If everything breaks well, then you hope that you. But I think you have to strive at least for 500. You cannot backslide. Another 4-13 season doesn't work. If we're talking this time next year and they're 4-13, something has gone horribly wrong, because we've got some pretty good players on this. Michael Carter, the running back, he seems like he's a keeper. Bryce Hall was consistently rated one of the top cornerbacks in the league. Zach Wilson, there is a definite changed from when he got injured. If you go pre-injury, 4 touchdowns, nine turnovers. After, when he came back, 9 touchdowns, 3 turnovers, and he was not intercepted in the last 5 games. So there is
Those are some
definite
good stats.
improvement.
Those are some good numbers.
Yeah, there's definite improvement here. The only thing I would say is that Buffalo Bill game, he kind of backslid to kind of the things that he was doing early on, where he was running backwards.
Well, he's under the gun. He's under the pressure of facing one of the best teams in the final game. So
I will say
if
this:
not the best team. So
I will say this: he really needs to stop the habit of spinning and turning his back to the field, because that is a good way to lose sight of what you're trying to shoot for. As a young
this is why I don't teach spinning kicks in martial arts.
Yeah, that exactly, and it doesn't work in football either. So he does have that bad habit of when he starts to scramble, he tends to turn his back toward the front of the field, which is something that he really needs to change, because as a quarterback you need to have perception of what's going on at all times, and just that one split second is a big enough difference to either get sacked or throw an interception or not realize where that safety is lurking and stuff like that. So he really needs to get out of that habit.
So you're saying 8 and 9 for the season next year. So that's hovering just below 500. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I would take that as long as we have solid progression.
I would hope and pray that we get that close as the Giants, because I don't believe that we're going to get anything more than 6 games next year if we stick to Joe Judge and the squad that we got.
The Giants are weird though, because you have some pieces. I mean, you're not totally devoid of talent.
Yeah, I just think that Dan Jones unfortunately is getting the same Sam Darnold situation. He doesn't have an offensive coordinator he's been able to click with. He doesn't have an offensive line at all that protects him enough, and he doesn't have a coach that's competent enough. So it's like you can have all the pieces, but if you don't have the play, I can have every single piece on my chessboard, but if I don't know how to play the game, it doesn't matter what my pieces do. They're going to get killed out there.
Yeah, well, listen, everything has to go right for them. I really do hope you guys get rid of Joe Judge, because
oh my God, every second that he's still the head coach, my eyes and ears want to bleed to death.
Do you realize you could possibly lose out on either getting Brian Flores or missing out on John Harbaugh, right? No, Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, yeah.
John is the one in Baltimore, right? You conceivably might.
I don't think Harbaugh is actually coming to New York, or would even. I think that he says that it would interest him. I think when you're trying to play 2 sides of the middle, you say, "Oh, if that job was open, I'd be interested in it." Just because it's New York, just because they got money, just to get people talking, just to get the people that are going to negotiate your potential salary to talk. That's it.
In other words,
I don't think that he would really consider. Right? I don't think that he would really consider coming to New York unless we had Russell Wilson.
Which I still think he's not. And now even more so, I think he's not going anywhere, to be honest. I think he stays in Seattle. So,
anyway.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't think he's coming to New York, bro. So
we'll see. We can hope. One can hope.
The last thing I'm going to say on the Jets and Zach Wilson is that, you know what, Zach, this is your opportunity to take this off season and do some self-scouting. One of the biggest things he needs to do is and especially in that division is pretty stable. Brian Flores notwithstanding, right? But that you're going to face the Bills, the Patriots twice,
and the Dolphins were actually the Dolphins. I mean,
I know it's a stable division. So you know what, Zach? What you need to do now is you need to start self-scouting. Forget about the stuff that they're going to teach
Zach,
you.
If you're listening, forget anything that Walt is saying. Quit your job and just come to the Giants.
No.
I want you. No, not as a quarterback.
No.
I want him to come as the new coach, because anybody Anybody that's playing for the Jets would be better than Joe Judge.
Oh, okay. Now I still want him as my quarterback. But he really needs to figure out these tendencies, because that's one of the things that is I think it's lacking in his game.
Look, he's got time to develop. It's his first
yeah,
season,
so. Absolutely. So but you know what? I heard him after the game, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go and do some family stuff, and I didn't hear I'm going to work out. I'm going to, and so maybe.
But I think that he will.
Yeah.
I think that he's going. He has a reputation of being a very hard worker. So
yeah, I do think so.
I think you guys gotta. I think you actually have a lot of good ingredients. I don't know if I see the gumbo yet, but we'll see.
It's getting there. Joe Judge better hit on some good free agent stuff. And I hope he doesn't spend everything.
No, Joe Judge better not do
not Joe
anything.
Judge. Yes, Joe Douglas. I'm sorry, Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas better hit on some good free agents. But I
Joe Judge better not do anything except line up on the unemployment line.
There you go. So we'll see what happens. But there's going to be an off season. We are the combines, I believe, is in March, and then the actual draft is in April. So we've got some time to discuss. Maybe after the season, once we get past the Super Bowl, we can start looking at potential draft picks for our teams and stuff. I think it's way too early to start discussing that right now. But
I mean, yeah. Well, we'll leave that conversation for another day.
Super Bowl. What are your picks, real quick?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're gonna. Do we want to just do this weekend and see how we go about it?
Why don't we do it week by week? Yeah, let's do it week by week. I had already stated that I believe I believe that I think it's going to be advancing. Advancing. It's going to be the Bengals, the Bucks, the Chiefs. I think Belichick's going to pull it out. So the Patriots. I think the Cowboys are going to make it, and I'm going on the Rams because the blue and the yellow reminds me of Vegeta, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. So
there you go. I'm going to go Bengals. Do I want to go Bengals? There's a part of me that wants to go Raiders just because I like Carr.
Yeah, same thing. Me too. Part of me wants to go Raiders, but I also like Joe Burrow. I want to see him puffing on that cigar, LSU style, the whole nine.
And the Raiders have a really good way of mucking things up when it comes to playing. They kind of drag you in the mud and get you into that dogfight.
It's probably what they did. That's probably what they did to the Chargers yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like, "Hey, let's make a deal." It was like, "Psych."
Well, I'm gonna go Bengals on that one. I'm gonna go Bengals, Bills, Bucks, San Fran, KC, and Cardinals versus Rams. I'm gonna go Rams there, just because.
Okay, so we only differ on the Cowboys and 49ers and the Patriots and Bills. Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna go Cardinals just to be contrarian. If DeAndre Hopkins was still playing, I would definitely go Arizona on that one.
You know what? If I was a betting man, just for the sake of this little conversation, I would do a parlay for next weekend. I don't know where I can make a bet, but I would do a parlay on both those tickets and see which one of us wins out.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, so like I said, Bengals, Bills, Bucks, a lot of B's here. San Fran, KC, and Arizona for me.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see whose picks come out on top next week.
We're gonna have a running total for this. We'll see.
Let's see how it goes at the end of the season.
Yep. All right, buddy.
May the better man win in the arena.
There you go. So.
And on that note, guys, thank you guys for joining us. If you are listening to us right now, you have come to the end of the show. Once again, please like, rate, share, and subscribe. If you have a fan or a friend that's into what we're talking about right now, and discussing and ranting about, please send them this episode right now and let them know to listen. Let's see. I want to hear you guys chime in if you guys can. And that's from me, Walt.
Before we go, I know we said we were going to talk about it. AB. So sad. There, we talked about it. Later, people.
Peace.
Peace.